And we're live. And I think we're live. We better be live. I see a thumbs up, but nobody here. So it's like a phantom guest. Um, hey, if there's anybody here on Wednesday, February 12th, 2025, just fire away in the comments and say you can see me, you can hear me. If you can not see me or hear me, then I think we have a problem. I think we're okay, but I don't see anything over in the comments and reactions yet. So I will, Marshall, good to have you. Happy Wednesday. I think it's still Wednesday for you. And this is the weekly live stream on the C47's YouTube channel. And I'm looking forward to spending an hour with everybody and talking about equipment and projects that you're working on, maybe some food, don't know. Um, David, good to have you. And I'm trying to figure out if I should put the comments and reactions right on the screen in front of me. I think I should. I think this is the place it should be. Um, I always have the Ecamm live window up, but it's kind of odd having it open on the teleprompter because I'm essentially looking at myself, which is ridiculous. Uh, DJ, good to have you. Hope you're doing well up there in the warm Toronto area. And yeah, here we are. So another week has gone by. It's kind of shocking to me that we are already looking at the middle of February. Um, this year, as does every year, seems to be getting faster and faster and faster. And that's just life. That's the way it goes. I don't know anybody who is working who's getting older who says things are slower. And that doesn't just have to do with how busy or not busy they are. It's just seems to be the way that the clock works with our internal clocks in terms of time. David, good to have you. The other David. And yeah, so there you go. You're getting 15 to 35 centimeters of snow. Whoa. Yeah, that's a real thing. Uh, we have all of these weather warnings here in the Willamette Valley, and I think that the prediction is that, and I'll do this in inches because I'm in the States. Uh, I think we might get up to 3 inches of snow, and everybody's freaking out. And if you don't have infrastructure, then I totally understand that because if you don't have a snowplow, then it can be a problem. But we have two vehicles, all wheel, 4-wheel drive. I think we'll be fine. Brandon, good to have you. Double Davids and a DJ shout out from Brandon to the crowd. And yeah, what are we talking about today? I think that there's probably stuff for us to always talk about related to production and equipment and things like that. But if we can get this conversation going with an at the C47, I think that's a good idea. Um, I think I've kind of dialed in, at least for the time being. Avi, good to have you. The picture and sound. Yeah. Oh, and Jess is coming in asking if you could promote the live stream with your followers. Yeah, especially if you have a YouTube channel. Um, that's a nice thing to do if it makes sense. Definitely trying to build up this community. There's not a lot of, I mean, look, I'm pretty tapped into what's happening in terms of production community, and there's not a lot of places to go regularly to have this. And this doesn't necessarily need to have, I'd love the channel to grow a lot, but this doesn't have to have 100,000 people. But it's really nice when it moves and people have lots of questions, and I think I can handle a slight bump in terms of number of people. We don't have to keep it a secret, but there's not a lot of places to go to just talk about what we do and production. And it seemed like there were more places, but and there may be there's places to go chat with people, but this type of forum doesn't really exist. DJ, thanks for the kind words on the deep dive into the Alien 300C. Yeah, that one was a little bit of a beast getting into that. And, I realize that that's not a fixture that is for every single person out there. But I think, DJ, you'll understand that when you start getting into electronic news gathering and into certain types of production, that might be the exact type of fixture that you're looking at. And the fact that it's IP55, look, I wish it was IP65 rated, but the fact that it's IP55 and you can go out into the elements and so on and so forth, I think that it definitely has a place within the production environment. And, while I loved for many reasons, and I didn't love for some reasons, the Astra line from light panels like the Astra 6X, that wasn't really a light that was designed to be out, in my opinion, in the elements. So this is really great build quality, lots of powering options and solutions. And yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting fixture. Um, in terms of surface area and base output, and this is again why the weekly live stream I think is advantageous, because we can talk about episodes of the Daily Drop, we can talk about announcements of equipment and things like that. In comparison to Nanlight's Pavo Slim, specifically not the 120C that I'm using here for this kicker, which is a 1x2, but the 240C, which is a 2x2 fixture, folds into itself to a 1x2. So it's very compact. It opens up. You've got a 2x2 panel, which is a nice size for, a key light. I love them much larger. That's about a 60-inch softbox, so obviously has more wrap, so on and so forth. Can have it a little bit further away and still have a big source. But the Pavo Slim 240C is, when it's not on sale, about the same price as that Alien 300C. And if you set the Alien 300C to constant output, so it's not changing the output as you change your correlated color temperature, um, they're about the same in terms of output, but you just get more surface area on the 240C. That said, the connectors are not built the same way. The menu and the basically tunability, the granular type of control over the Alien 300C is much better than the Pavo Slim 240C. But if I was looking just for an interior light in an owner operator type situation, I'd probably go Pavo Slim 240C. But if I need sort of a little bit more of a Swiss Army knife and still want to have a little more punch and output, and I'm going to bounce it and I'm going to, diffuse it and stuff like that, yeah, I think it's a good option. And really great battery options and stuff. So Avi says, how are you finding using the C80 and C70? Has your workflow changed much at all? Great question. I will answer that based on the C70 right now because I just have two of those. I used both of them when I did the Alien 300C video, for that sponsored video for Nanlight, and I really like it. I mean, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I really like the picture quality, and I've always been drawn to Canon's picture quality kind of out of the box. I am, as I've done on some of my episodes and stated, shooting in Canon Log 2 Cinema Gamut, but I'm actually baking a look into the image that you're seeing right now. So the camera is set to log and cinema gamut, but this essentially LUT or look is being applied. The one I'm using right now is the standard base Phantom LUT, not the legacy one. I really like the other one, which is the Canon to Alexa as well, from another colorist out of Australia, and that's all documented in the thing in the episodes. I think that the biggest challenge has been getting used to, at least for the C70, though it's a bump on the C80 and the C400, the autofocus performance. It's really good, but it's not Sony. So that's just the reality of it. I don't know what kind of deal with the devil Sony made when it came to autofocus, because if you remember, for a very, very long time, Canon was just sort of untouchable in the autofocus realm. And then I think that Sony was at a party and they were hanging out with the Grim Reaper or somebody. Maybe Lucifer was at the bar, and they said, let's do a deal here. Okay, we need to leapfrog, and we need to figure this autofocus thing out. Whatever that was, whatever the exchange was for that, it seemed to work, at least for us, because Sony's autofocus system is just so rock solid, bang on in terms of what it can do. So just getting used to that. And again, I've tuned it so it's so much better than when I took the C70 out of the box, and I'm getting really good results with it, and it should be better with the C80 and the C400, because it's sort of a next evolution of the dual pixel CMOS AF system. But I say that's one getting used to kind of challenge. And then it just depends on what cameras you were using before. Form factor wise, you're always getting used to a camera with a different form factor. And I think that for me, that's not a big deal. I think that the other thing that I've had to really spend time on is audio. Um, I'm not finding, at least with the C70s that I have here, that the preamps, the internal audio circuitry is fantastic. If I go direct into camera, I'm finding quite a lot of noise floor in terms of what's there without anything else. And then it's just not as clean as I really would like. And that's fine, because 9% of the time I'm running mics into the Mix Pre 6.2 from Sound Devices, and then from there I'm going into the camera. But whereas before I would just take a 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter cable, eighth inch to eighth inch, TRS tip ring sleeve cable, and go from the stereo out of the Mix Pre 6.2 into my camera. I found that I was getting, after some tuning of the Sound Devices Mix Pre and the camera settings, really good results. But then I kind of had to start over again when I went 3.5 millimeter to mini XLR. And I think right now what you're listening to is very clean. I've got a little noise assist just to take the ambience out when the HVAC or the air conditioning kicks in. And other than that, I think it's working out all right. All right, Marshall, and keep these questions coming. That's the whole idea. I'm currently worried about how the reinstated tariffs are going to affect gear purchases, even super helpful rigging and support from small rig, newer with two E's. I have to say it that way. Is it Neatsy? I think, etc. Plus 10% adds up fast. Yeah, it can. I'm not holding judgment on this, but I think it's a little bit of a wait and see. I think we will see increases to a degree, and that, coupled with the struggles that manufacturers have been having overall in terms of selling equipment, isn't necessarily a good thing for our space specifically. I'm not saying it won't affect other spaces. So, yeah, yeah, I mean, we're all just gonna have to see where it goes. And I guess if you know what you're getting, next, and it's going to be working and you want to be using it, then maybe now's the time to purchase. I don't know, to be honest with you. This is a moving target. And especially with this administration. I mean, it's moving fast, it's moving all over the place, and it's kind of hard to latch on to what's going on. So I don't know what to say about that. Yeah. Avi, the Zoom F3 that you're using into the C70, um, you're just really going to probably have to rely upon that device. I'm very partial to the noise assist feature that's available in the Sound Devices boxes. Mix Pre 2s and some of their higher end ones. Um, it just works so consistently. And I actually am just editing an episode right now on this Hollyland Lark M2S, and kind of flipping between no noise cancellation and noise cancellation. And the quality of the noise assist of taking out the ambience on the sound devices compared to this, um, it's night and day. I mean, it's not even close. That said, each license for noise assist on a Mix Pre 3, 6, or 10 version 2 Mark II is $300 per seat. And they've upgraded it so you can have 2 seats on the Mix Pre systems. It used to just be one basically instance. So you can send it to individual channels or to your mix, so on and so forth. But to me, it's worth every single penny. You know, the 2 times that I've dropped $300 on those plugins, I've used that. It's kind of like Topaz Video AI. I bought the whole suite over the holidays for $300 to own it, and I get a year's worth of upgrades. And I was like, am I making a mistake here? Just with Video AI, I've upresed probably a half a dozen 1080 uh, pieces of video, my demo reel, some client related stuff. And I've got to say that it's paying for itself. It definitely is. It's not necessarily a charge that I'm carrying over to the client, but that from a time standpoint, from a quality, a picture standpoint, there's some pretty good technology in there. It's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be things that you throw at it where you're not going to love the result, but I've been getting some good experience with that. All right, let's get into some more questions. If we need to have like a what do you call it? An intermission question. You can throw something out about food or something disrelated, um, anything, but please put an at the C47 if you can. Makes it a lot easier for me to latch onto it as a question or something. Avi, thanks for the kind words on the daily drop videos. Glad they're useful. Obviously, you and myself. I'm gonna move this. This is very distracting having the picture from Ecamm over here. Obviously, for me and for you, generally don't know what the episodes are going to be about. Some of them I do and stuff like that. Um, but I appreciate that. Dwayne, how are you? How do you power your sound devices Mix Pre? Almost exclusively over USB-C. I find that that's the easiest way. You start using AA batteries on that thing and it eats them for breakfast. Um, Cable Technologies has a back for them, which you can use, which I believe will take like a Limo style, like a power cable that you can plug in and run it off of other things. But for me personally, it does come with like a DC in plug, and you can plug that into mains just normally, but the cable is very short. If it was longer, I might just use that. But because I'm powering so many things in my kit now with USB-C, and I have so many bricks and power delivery cables, that's basically how I'm doing it. All right. Cold out there. Maybe not as cold as some places, but hands get dry, lips get dry. Got to take care of business. All right, what are we talking about next? Let's go. We got enough people here that we can have conversations about this. Hopefully, some more people show up and we get some more things going. Little piece of housekeeping: if you were in the Camera Flask episode live stream last week and you were one of the 3 winners of those prizes, those were sent out almost immediately to B&H, and I believe that they're already shipping. So let me know when you get it. Love to hear about that stuff. Marshall says the Mix Pre changed my life. Love that thing. I also use a battery bank with the AAA carriage on for backup. Got it. Yeah. And you can use just a regular battery bank, which I do run it off of sometimes, especially if I'm using a mirrorless camera, which can also be USB-C. powered. So they're in a lot of my episodes, but there's an Anchor power bank that's quite small. That's 200 watts output total. Hold on. And what's nice about it is that it has two USB-C outputs, and they push out, I believe, each one can push out a full 100 watts. And then there's also a USB-A. This is my favorite one because it's compact. I have a longer one that came out before this, which actually won't power certain devices. It just doesn't have enough output in terms of amperage and wattage, but this one does. This is 20,000 milliamp hours. It's at 72. Essentially, it's a 72 watt hour, 14.4 volt battery. If you want to think about it like that, it's got punch. So, this is a great one. I now have two of these. I picked up a second one before I went down to work on that Kino Flow project down in LA, which we're pretty much done editing. We're just kind of having the client review the social media cuts for that. And then it's going to be a waiting game because they're still tuning that light from an engineering standpoint. So it's going to be like a let's finish the project, get a few more pieces of data, and then we'll insert that into the essentially lock picture, but just with a couple of swap outs of shots. David says, "Oh, yeah, the Sony NP battery sled for your mix pre, cool. Nice. All right, we got a lot of stuff happening here. All right, that's mix pre for the win. Great box. Most people, the mix pre 3.2 is going to be the one you get more channels with the 6. Not something that I really need, but when I got the 6 mix pre 6.2, it was during the whole chip shortage, and Sound Devices was at that time, they were putting preference on the 6s because it's not that much more expensive, and they allocated the stuff inside it to the 6s as opposed to the 3s. That's obviously not an issue now. Um, but it's really up there for me in terms of favorite kit. So you have those things that you sort of feel like you can't really live without anymore. You could live without them, and AI in post production is getting really, really good. So you can go into a camera directly. It might not be ideal, but most of the time you can clean that stuff up unless there's some sort of interference or shielding issue. But to be able to get it right, both in camera and we'll call it in camera for picture and sound, is fantastic, and then having float for your double system recording when you're doing client-based projects is great. I don't worry about that when I'm doing this or I'm doing the daily drop because it's such a controlled environment, and I don't roll on, there's no sound speeding on the mix pre 6.2 when I'm doing the daily drop. There's always sound speeding on the mix pre 6.2 when I'm doing client-based projects. But this is just kind of going right from mix pre to camera, and then that's getting fed over HDMI to my computer. All right, let's go. Marshall says, when you've done BTS on client shoots for your channel, do you write those permissions into your contract or just go with a verbal thumbs up? It's generally written into a contract. That I can use the content for promotional purposes. So that's kind of like a line item. There are occasionally projects that either are stalling and then they just go, or they just kind of happen immediately, and you have to write up essentially an outline of what the project is, put a budget to it, and then submit it. It's not my preference, but it does happen, and in those situations, you have to have some sort of communication, and you can generally not just a thumbs up, but usually at least something in writing, Marshall. So send an email out to them and say, I'd love to use some of this for my channel or for my educational content or whatever you're doing, and then at least get some sort of permission. When I do stuff with Canon, it expresses specifically that I can use the content for promotional purposes, but I do have to essentially give them the ask. Like I want to use this in this, and that's different than embedding the whole video into my channel, meaning having a link that's connected to that content. I'm talking about when I'm recutting it in or making it pardon me, of another episode. So it does kind of depend, but I do have a section of my proposal which basically says that the C47 can use the content for promotional purposes. So I try to write it into the contract before we actually do the project if I can. Um, Sometimes your clients want you to do it. Like for instance, KinoFlow said, "You're going to talk about this on your channel, right?" And I was like, "Of course." So, I shot a little bit of BTS, and one of the first things I did when I got back was post something about it. All right, Dwayne's coming in. What lens would you suggest for run and gun documentary and interviews for the C70? I'm thinking about the Fujinon MKR 18 to 55 and the Canon 24 to 105 f2.8, but the 24mm is not very wide on a crop sensor. Okay. Well, first and foremost, obviously, those are very, very different lenses in terms of their capabilities. One is specifically a crop sensor lens. I own the MKXs, 18 to 55, 50 to 135, and I think that for their price, for their performance, for their overall kind of image quality, they are still right now I think a great buy, but limited range. So sure, wider 18 as opposed to a 24 on the wide end, which is really good for a super 35mm lens, and I agree with you on that. But nowhere near as long, about half the focal length in terms of that, and it's a manual lens, so it's that has a lot to do with whether you're going to use that lens consistently. For some people, you might be completely comfortable with that, but if I'm shooting a two camera interview f2.8 and I've got an 18 to 55 and a 50 to 135 on my A and B cameras, and I have next to no crew, those aren't the right lenses for me if I'm shooting at a 2.8. Um, I'm gonna probably, if I'm quote unquote forced to use those in that kind of situation, I'm probably going to figure out how to stop down to a 4 or 5 6 split, a 5.6 to 8 split, somewhere in that range, potentially, depending on the space and the depth of field, in terms of this, what we're getting. So if you have a background that's really close to the person, you might not stop down to a 5.6 or a 6.3 or whatever, because that background may be completely in focus. It may be distracting to the viewer. So, longish answer is, I would definitely. I guess are you thinking about using the Fujinon and the Canon together, or you're thinking about one or the other? The 24 to 105 f2.8 is a lens I'm getting, um, and is similarly priced to the MKR lenses in terms of cost. But of course, the advantage is, it's native. It's not only native R mount, but it's native R mount with contacts and autofocus and that type of functionality. But yeah, 24 may not be wide enough for everything. Very different on a full frame sensor like the C80 or C400, but definitely a consideration. And I would not discount, uh, if you can try it, the R mount version of the Sigma 18 to 50 for really real run and gun stuff. I actually have it here in a box. and I want to test it with the C70, but really I want to test it with the C80. That's a lens that, while without any in-camera corrections, isn't amazing on the wide end. You get some barrel distortion. With those corrections, you get a very clean, crisp image. It's an f2.8 all the way through 18 to 50, and extremely small. So that could be a good fit on something like a C70, and it is only a crop sensor as well. So again, lots to consider when you're looking at these lenses. 24 to 105 is a full frame lens. MKRs are, crop for Super 35. But pretty remarkable feat of, engineering to get those zooms that small and that lightweight anyway. And we're seeing that from some of the other manufacturers, even in the full frame. So, Laowa and some of these other companies, Venus Optics is the parent company. All right, let's see. So hopefully that made sense and helped you. David says, I need the USB-C of my camera to record to SSD. Does anyone know a power solution that uses dummy batteries but with safety of redundancy like hot swap so that if depleted won't lose footage? Don't know. I do not know. Not with redundancy. I mean, I do use, hold on. This is my iPad here, and this is the little CMO 4K. And I have a couple of these. I've talked about them. I use them for sliders. I use them for, things like that. These are dummy NPF style batteries that terminate in USB-C. That's not the only thing that you can use, but there's no redundancy there. So there you go. Marshall's giving some suggestions also that may be things that I'm not aware of. Oh, nice. Okay. Some monitor suggestions and the shark fin with cinema batteries. I'm not familiar with the shark fin. One or the other. I use my 18 to 35 is a great lens. The next one up from Sigma was at the 15 to, what is it? Is it the 15? It's not 15 to 135, is it? The 50 to 135? Whatever the next one is up, that thing breathes like a mother. But the 18 to 35 is a rock star. I mean, that's just a rock star lens. Yes, and the MKR would be parfocal. Everybody's welcome, Dwayne, and your English is just fine. And some of our best friends are French Canadian, who live here, by the way. But yes, they are. So, and can I just say, Dwayne, and I know that you know the little secret up there in Canada, um, the quality, like, everybody talks about Vermont maple syrup. The quality of the maple syrup that I've had from Canada, it's like, I don't even know why Vermont is part of the conversation. It's so good. And it's definitely better. So there you go. All right. Avi says, looking to get the Sigma 10 to 18 for using on the C70. I already have the 18 to 50. I know I'm in a very different lower league. It's not a lower league. And, we have advantages now with these cameras where they can correct chromatic aberrations and peripheral illuminations that are happening that are creating issues. And there's a lot of stuff in these cameras now that can take a relatively so-so lens and make it quite good for production. I'm not saying I don't notice a difference when I slap a $3,000 lens on a camera as opposed to a $500 lens. But that doesn't always mean that that's the right lens to use in your production. A lot of it has to do with workflow. I talked about this when the C70s came in, and those are just loaner cameras to create some content for Canon. But my next two cameras that I'm going to be bringing in here, are the C80 and the C400. Those are going to be the workhorses of my production cameras, and I'm very excited about that. But that doesn't mean that um, with the Bodice lenses and the Sigma 18 to 50 that I have, I do have the 10 to 18. That I'm not going to get another Sony E mount based camera. Those are all E mount based. Um, and it will most likely be another it will be an FX30 because at $1,600 US it's really almost a no-brainer. um, and I work really really fast with that camera. If I put an 18 to 50 on there and I'm running around, I know that I can get great results in terms of what I'm getting out of the camera if I turn on the right things, for instance the Sigma 18 to 50. And it's just so fast and easy to work with. I mean, you can handhold an FX30 just all day long. It's not even, it's nothing with that 18 to 50 especially. It's it's almost like nothing. Um which is fantastic. So yeah, you have to deal with ND, and there's no question about that, that you have to have a good quality variable ND filter that's in your kit ready to go. And then I think you're in a great shape. So you don't think about things in terms of league. Think about it in terms of you have really good tools that are going to allow you to capture um, what you need to tell stories. And as time goes on, you start to figure out what is and isn't working in terms of your kit, and you start to upgrade based on what is and isn't working. Like I can say, I can't say never when I'm talking about something, but uh, in the foreseeable future, I don't see that mix pre 6.2 from Sound Devices being replaced by anything else for what I'm doing. But when I was down in LA doing the KinoFlow project, day one, I used that with my microphone setup, got really great results because I know how to set that up for what I'm trying to do. Going into the FX30 for the interviews I did with Michael Goy and John McGowan, who was the chief lighting technician on the project. And Michael Goy was previous president of the ASC, and he was holding two hats on that. He's also DJA and he's a director. So he wrote the little scenes that are in the piece that you'll see eventually, and he also was the director on the project. So he brought in his regular gaffer to work with him in terms of the plan, and then away we went with the project. Day two, where we were really documenting the entire production and everything that was related to that, I brought in a sound recordist that I have used for years, who's based in LA. Great guy, Doug Edge, and he was the one that came in for the day to do that. So I also try to figure out, I mean, look, if I had the budget, I'd hire a sound person probably for every single job, and I'd be one of the first people that I would use. Yes, the 50 to 100 is the breathing lens from Sigma. Um, but that's just not the reality of production nowadays. There's so many times where you kind of have to do it yourself. And yeah, all right, there we go. Oh, and then the other thing to consider is whoever's talking about lenses, and I think Dwayne, you're the one who really brought this up, that the C70 is somewhat unique in the fact that they have that adapter, which is essentially increasing your field of view to almost full frame. So I don't know. You got some testing to do and see if the coverage is there from certain lenses. Yeah, good. Um, Neil, what's happening? Sennheiser 416 through a K-Tech boom to Mix Pre 6.2 and or Raptor. My DP wants to use a Y splitter from the boom to the mixer and camera. I read that Phantom Power doesn't like splitters. Any truth to that? I don't know. I'd be more nervous about using a Y splitter. I'm not a big fan, to be honest with you. I like single cable solutions if I can use them. Um, through a K-Tech boom to mix pre and or Raptor. My DP wants to use a Y splitter from the boom to the mixer and camera. A Y splitter from the boom to the mixer to do what? To get a feed into their camera? I need more information, Neil, because I'm trying to wrap my head around what the DP is trying to solve as a problem. Um, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I think I might be able to talk to you about a couple of solutions that might be better. I guess my question to you is, what's the standard way that you're getting an audio signal to the camera? And is this run and gun, or is this a fixed, basically lockdown camera on a tripod or something similar? I'd really like some more information from you on this, Neil. So anything you can give me in terms of data and what you and or the DP is trying to solve as a problem audio wise, maybe we can talk it out and see. There you go. Marshall says the shark fin allows 2V gold mount batteries on one plate. Copy. So if you mount one battery, wait 15 minutes, then the other, you give yourself 15 minutes of buffer. Oh, copy that. Okay, that makes sense. And then the other the other thing, which kind of goes back to what DJ was talking about earlier on, is the in the Alien 300C, the two V mount battery plates on there are hot swappable as well. I think I mentioned that in the video. So yeah. I'm editing the episode right now, Jeff. It'll be up tomorrow morning. I mean, I guess I could try to do a live switch. I mean, I'm game. What's the worst that'll happen? I'll take the whole thing down. Sometimes you got to live a little. I could do it. Yeah, give me a second. Good, Jeff. Um, let's see. Aaron, what's happening? Sound and makeup make a huge impression on clients. Yeah, I would bring him to set every time as well if I could. What's happening? Oh no. Ted's in the house. Only split a line level from output of the mixer. Do not split a mix level. Copy. Don't split a mic level. Yeah, I guess again, I need a little bit more information from you, Neil, on what you're trying to solve as a problem. If you're trying to get a hop to the camera so that they're hearing something audio wise that is coming into your mix pre, there's a number of, I guess, different ways you can do it. I mean, the standard way would be to use the stereo out and run a cable from your mix pre 6.2 to the camera itself. But there's a lot of other solutions out there now which are inexpensive, which can kind of give you a very low cost wireless hop to your camera, as long as you're not trying to use that as a true backup for your audio, which is you can take any one of these little wireless transmitter receiver systems, a wireless Pro from Rode, possibly the Hollyland, and you could basically, well, the Hollyland might be a problem because, yeah, the transmitter doesn't have any kind of 3.5 millimeter plug, but I think you could pretty easily go into, yeah, you could pretty easily use the output, the stereo out of the Mix Pre 6.2 to go into a wireless transmitter like the Wireless Pro, because that will allow you to plug in, for instance, a lavalier mic. So there's a mic input there. Um, and then you would just be transmitting that wirelessly to the receiver on your camera. But you giving me some more information. Yes, I don't know either. We always use scratch mics anyway. Lockdown. We don't have a sound guy. I'm second shooter and filling in on sound. Done it a few times and we're split from mixer to can. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you need to get into all of that. I mean, you can just do a wireless hop with a wireless, pro or something like that. Or again, if they're thinking about a wired run anyway, that's getting to their camera, I'm not sure why you're not just taking a 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter tip ring sleeve cable and just running that from the MixPre 6.2 to the camera. If you're in an interview setup, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that. I kind of wouldn't want to split anything going from, mic to mix pre, and then I don't know. That sounds like a mess. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Marshall's saying the same thing essentially. Okay. Hello all. What's up, Sully? Yeah, Neil, just tell this person, are you looking for a wireless hop? Do you have, first of all, and Neil, do you have something like a wireless pro? Because what you would do is basically just get a little, male to male cable for the stereo out to go from the MixPre 6.2 into the transmitter, I believe, and then you just hop that over to the camera, or regular cable, stereo cable. I don't see why you couldn't do that. That signal is important, but if it's just for good scratch audio, that's maybe where you split, where you come out, of the stereo out. That's a, female port. So you get a male 3.5-inch to a Y, female, and then you can just run two male to male cables from there into your cameras, as long as they have 3.5 millimeter port. Totally makes sense. It's discontinued, but okay, boom, more stuff on that. All right, we got some haze and hose and all the good things. Who who asked me to do this live? Screw it, let's do it. We'll see what happens. Nothing's plugged in right now. I'll have to switch it over. Let's make sure. Boom. Okay, that's connected. I got a blue light. This is connected as well. Right now, I'm not using any noise canceling. I'll put that here, and then I'm literally gonna just plug in to my laptop over USB-C, because this little camera receiver also has a USB-C and the 3.5 millimeter. So let me go ahead and plug that in. Okay. And then let me turn off the noise canceling. There we go. And then I'm gonna switch it over. Ooh, it says MacBook Pro microphone. That's gonna sound okay. So right now, you're listening to. Thanks, Dwayne. Maple trees are calling me. Yeah, that's the MacBook Pro microphone, and then that should be the cam link. Let me do a scratch test. And I say cam link because I'm using the HDMI cam link 4K. That's the way it shows up. So my audio is NTG5 going into the MixPre 6.2. That's going into the Canon C70. So that's what you should be. This is sort of like my normal audio that you'll be hearing. I've got noise assist set to like 6 dB to like dial out some of the ambience. And then now we're going to switch to what this shows up. The Hollyland shows up as a wireless, should show up as wireless microphone, but it's not. Okay, so normally it does. Let me make sure that it looks like we're on. Gonna go into my set. Maybe it's not letting me do this because I'm kind of doing it live. I'm always willing to try stuff. Let's see. Let's go into my sound settings and output. We don't care about that. Input. wireless microphone is showing up there. Is it showing up in Ecamm? It might not be because I'm on the live stream. So the answer, unfortunately, is I would probably have to quit out of Ecamm Live in order for that to show up. I don't know why it shows up in my system. And in fact, I don't even know. Wait, if I scratch this, are you hearing it? I don't think so. I think we've got the cam link routed, and I'm just going to make sure I keep everything. We're playing with fire over here. You know, this is like kids playing in the sandbox. All right, well, I think we're going to yeah. Oh, you mean when I went to the yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're not going to get this to work right now. And the reason we're not going to get it to work is just because it's not showing up in Ecamm Live. So, that's okay. It does in my episode, I'm going right into Ecamm Live. So it's not that it's not compatible. It's just because I guess I'm doing the live stream and stuff. It's only showing me my audio options when I went live. That's my guess. I might be wrong. But let's just go back to MacBook Pro microphone and see if we can hear that. All right, so now you should be hearing the MacBook Pro microphone, which is over here. So I guess you can hear more ambience. I'm not monitoring this audio, so I can't hear it. I'm wondering. Thanks, Avi. Take care. JEM. Who's this GEM guy? Let's see. Maybe this will show up though. Maybe it's just that mic. Yeah, let's see. No, same thing. So as soon as I hook up and I have Bluetooth on, I believe. Let me just double check. Oh no, I have Bluetooth off. Oh, well, that's a direct connection. Maybe this will work. Maybe it's my Bluetooth that's being. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over. Testing. Now you should be hearing the AirPod Pros. So that is the mic off of the AirPod Pro. Let me do a scratch test. So that's what you should be hearing. And the fan just kicked in for the AC. Let me try this one more time. Let me take this out. Go back to the Camlink 4K. Let me go over here. Hard to say if it's routing properly. Right now, scratch test wise, we should be on the MixPre system. And yes, for the AirPods. And then let me now try with Bluetooth on, though I don't think that's the problem because I'm plugging directly in, but it might be because it's wireless. Let's just see. Again, I don't think this is going to solve the problem, but we're going to find out in a minute. So let me just see. I'm going to go over here. Nope. Yeah, so I for whatever reason, I think it wants to see this plugged in. I don't know. It's fine. It works in my episode. I'm doing it that way in a live type of situation. If I was teaching a class, I'd be done with that. What's rough? The audio quality off of the AirPods or the built-in mic on the MacBook Pro. It's precisely the reason that I'm talking to a client of mine about using something like the Hollyland Lark M2Ss for something that they're trying to do, because the pods aren't great. No, I mean, there's some magic sauce happening when you're using your iPhone in terms of reducing ambient noise. The quality of the audio isn't bad, but it should be pretty much night and day. getting good results out of this, but I think when you watch the episode tomorrow, that you'll notice that when I activate the noise canceling on the Hollyland, that it's probably not. I'm probably going to deal with that in post production, but you'll be the judge in terms of what that is. Yeah, stuff goes fast here. 5 minutes left here in the episode. What do we have left to talk about? And then there were, and then there were four. So everybody's gone off to tap their maple trees for their maple syrup, or uh, maybe get the snow blowers ready, or whatever else it is that you have to do to get ready for, I don't know. But any other questions that we have to wrap up the show? A little at the C47. Anything's fair game within reason in the last 5 minutes. So, good Jeff is still here. Did I answer your question? You asked about something earlier, Jeff. Let me scroll back here. I think I did, but Phantom Power doesn't split. Yeah, that was your comment. Something earlier. Give us a preview. Oh, yeah, you're the one who asked for that. Well, I didn't get to give you a preview, but it'll be in the comments there. In Ontario. What am I saying? In Ontario, it is snow time. Oh, Ono's still there, mainly because I don't have maple trees. Thanks. Appreciate that, Ono. Question for everybody. Just throwing this out there. How many people who are here in the chat right now all oh, now we went up to 10. It's like people heard, ears were burning, are going to NAB. Neil says, thanks everyone. That's all it is. Just scratch audio. We have tentacle sync time code. I just don't want to question his decision without knowing. He always hires me on every one of his shoots. Yeah. I mean, I always start a conversation with, what would you like to do? And then present them with maybe an easier way to do that. Right. Without effing up the signal chain and what's going on. And if you're bringing sound equipment, just say, it's really not a good idea with, a mic that needs phantom power that's getting plugged into the mix pre 6.2 to do any splitting before that point in time. So whatever signal that we want to route, we should really be doing from the mix pre 6.2. Unless you just want to set, all of your other cameras to automatic gain control and just have that type of echoey scratch track. I mean, I will say, Neil, that for me personally, and it's pretty dang standard now. We slate. We do charts in tone. So we're running on a chip chart and usually a gray card, and then we will actually slate all of our takes. And then, of course, what you have there is you have both picture and you have that sound, that clapper sound, which is a vertical spike. And whether you're using any of the three big NLEs right now, you should have no problem whatsoever syncing that. So even with the scratch audio, the one thing that I'm trying to determine with this is, because this is not going in my test into direct into camera, I will say that you might see that the sync might be off slightly. I'm gonna say, frames at most. I'm trying to determine that, but yeah. No NAB for Micah. Okay, bummer. Or maybe not bummer for you. Ono's got the registration done. Marshall's playing with foam and super glue. Always a great idea for your new 300Bs from Nanlite. Yeah, good value on those things. Good Jeff canceled because of work, politics, and changes in the political landscape. Okay. Marshall, really want to make it, but not sure about schedule and budget yet. I usually get some floor passes from vendors, but none so far, and I don't have the 1K for that on top of. Oh, floor passes are easy. You can just get them through B&H and other manufacturers. So if you're looking to get on the floor, I don't think you'll have any issue with that. And if you want to just email me at contact@thec47.com. If all you're looking for is just standard like passes to get on the floor, then that's not an issue. I don't see any issue with that at all. Yeah. What else we got? Yep. Ono says yep. Here we go. There's a code BA06. I just Googled it. Yeah. You should never be paying to get on the floor at NAB. That should be free, free, free. There's special workshops and events and things like that that may be, not as easy. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, come on. What's up, David Carroll? Can't believe you've never been to NAB. I feel like that's like a perfect thing for you. Really, I think Cine Gear for you, to be honest, in June. But you get the idea. All right. Father Time has come knocking at my door and says, guess what? It's after 4 o'clock. And what? Oh, I have to finish editing the daily drop and then start getting ready for tomorrow's daily drop because somebody in the house has a birthday this week, and I'm not going to have the same amount of time to dedicate to all of this stuff. Well, hopefully the audio's clean now. I think we're back to our normal stuff after all of that. And next week is a bit of a question mark. My son's school is going to be doing a team-based photo shoot, and I might do that next Wednesday with them. So we'll see. Good. Have a good rest of the week. Have a great weekend. And if there is a live stream, I will post that to the channel. If not, I think it's going to be 2 weeks from today. I really enjoyed doing them. Today was great. I think there was a lot of good questions, real questions, things that had to do with workflow, working things out. And I hope, Neil, that I'd love for you to stop in the future one and let me know if everything kind of worked out and what you did. Agreed, Micah, family first and safety on set and all of that good stuff. 3 dongles down. Everybody have a great one. I'm heading on out to the timeline, as it were. All right. Take care, everybody. All the best.